this session we will go through some sculpting options which we'll be using for sculpting or deforming the mesh and Mudbox. Very first of all, I'll open Mudbox. I'll open the file, fresh file with it. As I open it, I get, or I can say my file is open in this software. You can see the basic mesh and this Mudbox application. It's not too high mesh. It is, the subdivision level is very low in this mesh. As I explained in the previous session, as it is like, for example, if I am using the brush options, as I can see the size increase or decrease the size of the brush using the B option, which is a shortcut of the brush. The strength option, the material, or I can say the strength, the material, the strength to increase or decrease the sculpting options. You can see the sculpt tools, paint tools, pose tools, select and move tools, pose. Again, come to the sculpt tools, and if I start sculpting it, see the sculpting won't be in proper form. Very first of all, I have to increase its subdivision level. To increase the subdivision level, you can just go to the mesh and you can just add new subdivision level. You can just press Shift T. As I press Shift T, I can increase its subdivision level. As I have increased the subdivision level, you can see something. The polygons have been increased. The mesh has increased. You can increase its subdivision more by pressing Shift T again. As I increase its subdivision level, now the level is level 2. The polygons are 9280 polygons. As I come to the right hand side window, I get the size, the strength, and the mirror. What is the mirror? Mirror option will affect the tool, or I can say the geometry in both the directions. For example, if I activate this mirror option and if I on this sculpt tool and if I start working with it, you can see it is affecting the both sides. It is affecting the both sides. If I off this, I need to off this invert function. Invert will affect of the brush so that the areas are lowered and vice versa. It will affect in the opposite direction. If my strength is in positive direction, it will pull out the mesh in outward direction. If it is in negative direction, it's like if it is in minus, it will push the mesh in inner direction. Now what I can do is I'll put its sculpting strength as 0.2, or else I can increase it by pressing M. I need to sculpt this part. So I reduce the brush size, reduce the strength, and very important thing, just come down to the sculpt option, you will get one option called steady stroke. As I on this option called steady stroke, and if I stroke the part, increase it. If I stroke it, I'll get the stroke in a very uniform way. I increase its subdivision level. So now my level is level 3, 32,560 polygons. If I want to come down, you can just press page down. You can shift to the level 2. If I press again page down, I can shift up to level 1. Page up will increase the level to level 2. Page up again. Now this is the highest level, that is level 3. Now I'll be working with the sculpt tool, and I have on the option called steady stroke. I want to work on the eyelid of this brush. Reduce the brush size, make its strength a bit stable. Now I can start working with the sculpt options. You can see that the part which I am sculpting is being affected. I am sculpting the eyes, and I have actually on the option, the mirror option. If you on the mirror option, it will affect both the sides. By pressing Control option, by using the Sculpt tool, I can push the mesh in inward direction, and if I press the Shift option, it will make the particular mesh as smooth. You can smoothen the particular part, you can use it, you can smooth that particular area. You can see some uneven surface, you just smoothen it using the Shift tool. By pressing Shift, I can smoothen the surface. It will work at all. You can see something deformation over here, you can just smooth it out. Come up. You can work it in this way. Now what I want is, I need to make the corner a bit sharp. I can use the pinch tool. The pinch tool pulls the mesh vertices towards the center of the brush as you stroke it. For example, if I use a pinch tool, if I increase the brush size and if I keep its strength in an appropriate way, now I can pinch it. As you see, the edges, the vertices are coming closer to each other, as it will make it in very sharp form. It will make it sharp. You will get a very sharp look to it. Can increase the strength a bit. Now you can see, I'll get a view of eyelid. You can just smooth the eyelids using a smooth option also. You can see I'm smoothing it using the smooth option. Can easily work accordingly. You can see. Now the next part, what I'll do is, I'll take a Sculpt tool and I'll sculpt its top part. For this, I can just go to the object list, click on top, right click, look through the top view and start working with the top view. And I don't need mirror option. You can off the mirror option and you can start sculpting it. As you start sculpting it, you will get in a very appropriate form. Just come down, come into the perspective view. You can sculpt it from the top view. My mesh is getting deformed as I am working in that way. You can see some stuff. I am just sculpting it using the Sculpt tool. I just want this part in an outward direction. Same thing for this also. I can reduce the brush size. I can just start sculpting it. As you start sculpting, you will get a positive output. I will get a rich, fine, sculpted mesh. Use the smooth tool. If you need something, some mesh has been deformed, you can use the smooth tool. You can smooth some surface. Now the next thing I want is, I want this part to be sculpted in opposite direction. I'm just on this mirror into the X direction. Press Ctrl and I'll shift this mesh in inward direction. I'll shift it inside. It will move in inside way. You can see that this is deformed. Same thing, you can use again the pinch tool. As the pinch tool, as I have explained you, the pinch tool brings the loops, brings the vertices or edges closer to each other, as it will give you a bit of sharp look. I need to get a sharp look. So what I do is I'm using this pinch tool. You can see this part has come out, this part is inside. So I can use this. You can use this pinch tool and you can work accordingly. The same thing for this sculpt tool again. You can use again the sculpt tool. You can take a new layer, press Control. I need to push this part inside. I can push this part inside. You can work accordingly. Work in this way. Need, you can check it out. You can take the reference of the fish, how the fish tail is. Push this part inside. I have activated the steady stroke option, so it will help me out to work properly. Pushing this part again inside. Now you can see this part is deformed as it has gone inside. Now you can use this smooth tool. As I use this smooth tool, I can easily smoothen the surface. Even I can use a pinch tool. Pinch tool will make the adjacent loops, I can say the loops in a very sharp form. You will get a rich, sharp corner. Now I'll show you the tool which we will see is a grab tool. What does a grab tool do? Grab tool will shift your loops, or I can say shift your subdivisions and direction as you want. You can shift it. You can see that I'm shifting the loops accordingly. In this way you can function it. I'm shifting it, I'm making it, shifting it up so I'll get a good shape, and shift the loops and downward direction. For example, if I'm not getting a proper shape, if I want to undo it, what I can do, I have one more option. I have a flatten option. For example, if my mesh is not in a proper way, for example, if it is in this way, if I have by mistake, if I do it, if I want it, I can undo it. Or else, one more option I have got is flatten. I can flatten the surface. You can flatten it. You can flatten it. Now you can see the deformed mesh will be flat. You can use the same tool, take a new layer. You can flatten the parts, flatten the areas where you want to see the flattening part, and just flattening the top part so I can work it accordingly. Flatten the surface, flatten it, can increase the strength of this flatten it. Flatten the surface, I need to flatten this part, I can increase its strength, reduce the strength, increase the strength, and you can flatten that particular part. Still you have to work more on the sculpting part. It's like the lips part, the same sculpting. Keep the steady stroke on. You can sculpt it. This is a very start sculpting it. Can sculpt this part. Can work accordingly. You can sculpt it. You can use the smooth option if you need to use it. Use the smooth options. You can work accordingly. Press W To switch on and off the wireframe, you can see the parts which I have sculpted. There is an option called Fill. The Fill tool fills in the valleys of the surface while leaving the high areas untouched. Fill tool will make your areas to upside down. For example, if I am using a fill tool, I'll get sharp areas over here. You can work this way. You need to give some rich look where you feel there are gaps, holes. It will make that area look sharp. This is the working of fill tool. Fill tool is used for creating the hairs of a character. You can use this fill tool, you can increase the strength of the fill tool and you can work it accordingly. Use this fill tool on the areas. Work it. Take a new layer, increase its strength and start working. There is one more option, can go to that is called stamp image. What is a stamp image? For example, if I am using a sculpt tool on a stamp image, the stamp is like image. It will give you some uneven effect. You can start working with the stamp image. You can increase it. You can see some uneven surface on the mesh. You can work accordingly with this stamp image tool. You can use this stamp image. Accordingly, you can sculpt the areas. You get a lot of stamps over here. These are all different stamps. See the stamping part, and off the wireframe part, you can stamp the particular part if I need to stamp it. Stamping. Stamping is like you are sculpting the particular part in a stamp form. Just undo it. You can randomize the stamps like in a horizontal, in a vertical way. You can randomize those stampings. Work in this way. Make sure you're working on different layers, because if you don't need it, you can just on and off the layers so you can work accordingly. And move down, I just don't need this randomize. You can off this randomize option and you can use this stamp option and you can work accordingly. There are different stamps. You can use it. You can even use this stamp for texture painting. If you want to sculpt some wall, you get different stamps where you can work. If you need to flatten something, you can even flatten the stuff and easily flatten it. Increase its flattening. Decrease its flattening part and increase its stuff. See, the stuff which I have painted will be flat. Can make it smooth. Smooth will rub off the stamp image sculpted part. Work. and smooth the parts. You need to sculpt something over here. Take a new layer. I can sculpt this part a bit, and I just off this stamp tool. I need to sculpt this part up. Can reduce the strength and can sculpt this part. Sorry, not getting it. Just reduce it and start sculpting a bit. Start sculpting a bit of it, and can use shift and you can smooth it a bit. So movement plus you can sculpt it. See, this part is rising up. You can reduce the size of brush and you can smooth this part. For example, if I am selecting some options, even you can select the faces, can just come into this, you can work accordingly. You can come into this edit menu, you can use this lock selected. Lock selected won't affect that part, or I can say it won't affect the whole object because the object is locked. You can just go to edit, you can use unlock all. There is one more option called freeze. Freeze is like if you freeze the object and if I try to use any options in it, it won't affect. Can use unfreeze all. If I paint something on it, if I select some faces, if I go to edit and if I freeze it, the only particular part will be freeze. The particular part won't be affected because it has been freezed up. So I have freeze that particular part. If I use invert freeze, the particular part will affect it and the rest part won't be affected because I have inverted the freeze option. Unfreeze all, come to paint, come to select move, click outside, again come to this sculpting. So in the next session we will learn more sculpting tools. Till then, thank you.